Yeah, so I'll just share a little bit about my background. I work in the semiconductor industry for 37 years. I studied electrical engineering, and then my career is all in the semiconductor industry. So my first job was with Intel. So I started as an engineer, and then I moved into management. And later on, I started a company called Pericom Semiconductor. Actually, me and my brother, we started the company. And yeah, and we ran the company for 25 years. Um, and about yeah, about 10 years ago, we decided to retire. So we sold the company, and then I stay on for 1.5 years to help to transition. Uh, and then I retired. So mostly these days, I serve in church and also serve in some Christian organizations. Um, and I'm very happy that I can share lessons from my career and my life. So 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 since actually we only have a few people today, so feel free to ask any questions during my presentation. And today I think is a very important topic because we're talking about building good relationships at work. And this is always something that I think is no matter what profession you are in. Oh, Henry, you have a question?
No, I just clap my hands. No, I don't have
Oh,
question.
okay. So yeah, because no matter which profession you are in, I think being able to have a good working relationship at work is very important. Um, so so today I'm going to cover a few areas. Um, the, um, the essentials of human relationship. Uh, and what are the important elements of a good human relationship, and then how to handle difficult relationships, especially at work. How to work well as a team.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I think I mentioned it's very important to have good relationships at work because I think it's really a key to career success. If you can actually have good working relationship with other people, usually your career would go
Hey,
well.
Teacher Zhang, maybe you want to put in the slideshow mode instead of, do you know how to do that?
Yeah, okay, let me try because sometimes when I put in slides so mode, I may have some problem. So I can try, okay. Is it okay?
Yeah.
You can still see. Okay. Yeah. So
It's okay if it's more comfortable like that. It's all right.
Yeah, now it's okay. Um yeah. So because I talk to many people for my career, and then a lot of times, especially for engineers, because I've been in engineering profession for all my life. As an individual contributor, as a manager, and then also founder of a company and running company. And a lot of people, when I talk to them, they say the technical difficulty you can always resolve. And technical, no matter what kind of technical things, right? People actually a lot of engineers they enjoy the technical work, but they really find that sometimes it's very difficult to handle human relationships. I have engineers that are very good engineers, and then get promoted to be a manager. And after a few years, they say, "Oh no, I don't want to be in management. Managing people is just too stressful." So they just want to become a individual contributor. Yeah. So actually, relationship at work is something that is very key to career success and also satisfaction at work. And to have good relationship at work, I think you need to have the right attitude and the right mindset. But at the same time, you also need to have some skills. So mindset. I think I don't know whether we are all Christians here, but I think at least most of us, I think here are Christians. So the Bible actually teaches us a lot of lessons about relationship with relationship with other people, and but it's not only the biblical teaching. I think as Christians, we can get power from God to transform ourselves. So just knowing the knowledge is not enough. We need to be able to really live it out. And to do that, I think we need God's the power of the Holy Spirit to transform us. So we can learn from the Bible about important elements of human relationship, but to really to practice, to live it out, we need the power of the Holy Spirit. So I'm going to, in this session, I'm going to talk about some of the biblical teachings about human relationship. But besides the mindset, even if you have very good intention to work well with other people, there's some skills you need to have in order to have a good relationship. And so we talk about emotional intelligence, right? And then we call EQ. Not only you need to have good IQ for you to do the job well, to have you need to be have to be smart to be able to do a job well. You also have good relationship with people. You need to have good emotional intelligence. And these days, actually, because we work with people from different culture, I think most of us are probably Chinese from overseas, and so we come with a different culture than American culture. And at work, we probably also work with people from other countries. So we also need to be sensitive to have this, what we call cultural sensitivity or cultural intelligence. So maybe called CQ. And I think last lesson, I think David talked about how to listen, how to communicate with people. And this is really very important skill. So I hope you learned something from David's lesson last time. So and practice, I think David probably teach about how to practice praise and to manage, how to manage your boss. I'll talk about that. Not only that, you think, okay, a lot of times we think, okay, if we have subordinates, we manage our people who work for us. But actually, it's important to manage your boss, to be able to, and then if you have conflict, how to deal with conflict resolution. So one time I read a book. They said to have good relationship, there's an acronym they call it STOP. Means to sit, to think. That means to do some reflection about your working relationship with other people, and then to organize your thoughts and plan what you need to do, and then go do it, go perform. Okay, so I like to, a lot of times when I teach, I like to use real life examples to help us to stimulate our thinking. So I'm going to go to have our first case study. And these case studies are actual cases that I encountered in my career journey. So this case study is a real case. So there's this young engineer, Arthur. He is actually very bright and very self-confident, and he's also very innovative. So he worked in the semiconductor design, but the problem is that he's very innovative, but the last design actually needed rework. That means when this computer chip come back, they found out some problem and they need to make some changes. So this caused delay in the schedule and also cost more money because to make a new chip, right? Actually, it takes money. And now there's a new project, and the boss, actually, when the boss got this project from upper management, there's pressure that they need to deliver this new chip on a very tight schedule. So there's no time for rework this time. So it has to come back. It has to work the first time. And then so now is there's a conflict in this or there's this dilemma, right? So the boss he has pressure that he need to deliver the first time. First time success is very important, but at the same time he want to keep a good relationship with Arthur. Okay, so actually, let's think about the questions that in this case, right? There are two people in this case. There's Arthur and there's Arthur's boss. So what situation you think Arthur's boss is facing, and what could be going through his mind and what could be going through Arthur's mind? And what would you do if you are Arthur? Put yourself in the shoes of Arthur. If you're Arthur, or if you are his boss, what would you do? Okay, so I'll open this up to all of you because we only have 3 mentees this time, and then with David. David has seen this before, so I'd like to ask to discuss how would you deal with this situation? Or first of all, just think about the people in this case, right? Think about Arthur, think about Arthur's boss. Put yourself into these 2 persons' shoes. What would you be thinking if you're Arthur or if you're Arthur's boss? And what would you do?
Thank you, John. Actually, I have a real situation similar to this at this moment. I joined a new job, and there is some project, one project that is very new. Nobody in our team has done before, and even my manager don't know how it will work. So it's an unknown area that I'm exploring. And my manager put this in high priority because we needed to manage this risk. If we do not have this system figured out, there is some risk. But so right now I'm in the process of figuring out this unknown to find out and test the experiment how to use the new system to do the task.
Okay, so yeah, so this kind of situation probably happens quite often, right? Yeah, because you are now you're under pressure, right? Actually, your boss is also under pressure, right? So how to deliver something on time?
Yeah.
And what kind of risk you should take? Okay, how about other people?
Yeah, I think for the Arthur's boss, just like Teacher Zhang said, he has to make sure that the whole process goes smoothly, so whatever Arthur is doing cannot be bottleneck to stop the whole project. So obviously he has pressure and he wants to, make sure that Arthur follow instruction, get his program update as soon as possible so everyone can move on to the next step in their project. So I guess it's depend on what's the relationship he and his with Arthur. If he's have good relationship, then it just he will be comfortable to know that the Arthur will follow instruction. But he has not really have a good relationship, the Arthur may doesn't listen to whatever his instruction, then he's gonna have headache. So that's my thinking about the author's boss.
Okay, so Jin, if you are the boss, then you just tell Arthur, say, okay, just make sure it work. Don't do anything new or something. Is that what you're going to tell Arthur?
Well, so right now the Arthur's boss wants the author to kind of update his program, right? To make sure that that's a task for the author. Is that right?
Well, Arthur is designing a computer chip. Okay, this is actually a real
but it's
case.
kind of it's out of date. He needs to update it, right? The computer chip. Because I'm not in this field. I have whatever.
It actually is a design. So like in the semiconductor field, right? We design a computer chip, right? Like for example, Intel, they design a CPU, and so every design is a new design. It's not a computer program. It's once you design.
Okay, so basically he wants the author to design a chip, right?
Yeah.
And then so basically he feel like he should speed it up. That's the reason he want to put the pressure on author.
Because
I think here is that there is a safer way to design, which is more conventional, and then Arthur has some innovative idea, but which is not safe. because it's new. So the boss is struggling to decide whether to take the risk of taking a new design way or using the safer way to do things. And most likely the boss is going to refuse to reject Arthur's proposal.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
So you see, because for engineer, right, a smart engineer, they like to try out new ideas. They like to try out new things. Because if you say, you do things always the same, after a while they get tired of it, right? They may quit and move to a different company, and actually engineering talent is very important, right? So the boss also have consideration, want to keep this good employee, right? But at the same time, because if the boss just always dictate what Arthur can do, want to play safe, Arthur may not be happy, right? But at the same time, the boss cannot be just a good guy and let Arthur just run loose. Because if the project cannot meet the schedule, right? Because if design come back and need to work, then the boss is in trouble too, right? It's not only Arthur. Yeah.
Right,
Okay, so
that's why I'm saying it's important how long they have to work together, right? What kind of relationship, if the boss low, is Arthur is reliable, if he has a successful deliver a lot of project, without the supervision, so why not just trust him, You know what I mean? So it's all about, because we don't have this background. We have no idea what exactly, how long they work together, how Arthur's, scale. Right, because for me, when I work, basically my boss let me do whatever think is right because he's too busy, so I can deliver everything on time, effectively. He trusts me, so I basically just follow my idea. So that's I'm saying. So we got to get the whole picture about this relationship. If this author is capable and always finish the project on time, effectively before, and then why not just trust him, to try things that maybe, that's my point, So it
Yeah.
really depends how the relationship is.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. There's a trust, right, in a relationship, and that's very important. Yeah, in a good relationship, there need to be trust. Okay, but since in this case, right, his last project after he did the last project, it need to work, so the trust may not be totally there, right? Okay, how about Robin? What do you think?
Okay, thank you, John. I mean, for me, if I were Arthur's boss, and I will talk to Arthur and give him, this is the deadline, and this is when I want have the design ready. And I don't care what kind of method he use, and probably I will schedule a meeting like every week, and ask him to give me the proposal and the progress, so I can make sure it is in schedule, it is in track. And author can use what kind of method he use, but he needs to keep the progress. That's what I think if I were author's boss. And in the other option, if I were author, when my boss gave me tasks and I need to know what is the result, what is his expectation, and I need to know what his expectation is. So right now he said, okay, this is the deadline and this is the design and I want on this days. And based on my understanding, because I'm an engineer and there can be multi ways and all the ways they lead to Rome. And I will give him some proposal, and proposal 1 and proposal 2. And for proposal 1, and this is the traditional way, and we can do it, and it is very safe. And for the second one proposal, we can use some innovation ways. And for the innovative ways, and we may do it faster, but we may fail. And give the proposal to the boss and let him decide, which one do you want to choose. And this one is very important. I mean, risky, right? We don't want to take the risks, and I will list all the risks and what is the advantage and what is disadvantage for each of the proposal, and we can wait together. That's what I'm thinking. And
yeah, thank you, Robin. Yeah, so I think you all have good input. Yeah, I think this case is just to stimulate our thinking. The key point is that we always, because if we are the one who's reporting to someone, right, we always think that, the boss don't let me try new things. They're not very reasonable. But my point is that in every situation, everybody has their has their goal, right? Arthur's boss has something that he need to deliver. Arthur, of course, also need to deliver. So yeah, at the same time, Arthur's boss want to maintain a good relationship, but then they need to have this build up this trust. So actually, in this case, the real life case, what happened is it's a little bit like what Robin said. So the boss has a good talk with Arthur and tell Arthur that this time the schedule is very tight. So you need to be make sure that you can deliver on time. This time we don't have time for rework. And then but if you so Arthur also proposed back to the boss. He's willing to try a more conservative way, but at the same time, he's willing to work overtime to work on another approach that's more innovative. The good thing is in semiconductor, a lot of times when we do this chip, we can have different options. So the boss actually allow him to try out both. And of course, to do that, that means he's doing 2 designs instead of 1. Okay. And then the result actually turns out both options work. And his innovative one actually works even better. So I think they are both happy in this situation. And I think the working relationship also improved because I think they build up the trust now. And Arthur can also know why it's important to innovate, but at the same time it's important to meet the requirement. Because sometimes you maybe have time for rework, but sometimes you don't. Okay, so let's move on. Yeah, so key to a win-win relationship is to be able to think in other people's shoes. So there's a saying that you never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view. Yeah. So in the Bible, Philippians chapter 2, verse 4 teaches us that not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others. And do to others as you would have them do to you. So that means in the relationship, it's because a lot of times this is not easy to do because human nature is always look after our own interests. Because I think this is kind of in our nature, right? And we always just think about what we need, what we want. We seldom consider what other people's need or want. No matter it's our boss or it's our subordinate or our coworker, and we like other people to listen to us, but at the same time we may not really listen to other people. So yeah, so this is not easy to do, but this is what the Bible teaches us. Not to just look at our own interests, what we want, but also what other people need, and that's very key to be able to think in other people's shoes. Okay, and this is one key concept that I hope I can bring out in this lesson. And then just now the case study also try to bring out this point. Each person has their own need. Okay, so then when we apply this principle to relationship with boss, then I have a few questions for you. Okay, do you know what your boss wants from you? Are your goals and responsibility well defined and well aligned with your boss? This is something that over the years, right, when we teach this class, we have come across quite a few people. And then I think I remember this one engineer. He is very smart, and he actually get the layoff from a few jobs. So he think that his technical skill is not good enough. But after we talked to him, we found that because he was able to get into very good companies, so we told him it's probably not your technical skill, and we asked him in depth. Then we found that a lot of times he and his boss, they don't really align. So he may be doing something that he thinks is great, but eventually his boss doesn't quite appreciate. So that's a problem that I think a lot of people face. That whether your goals and responsibility are well defined and well aligned with your boss. So maybe I'll just take a break here. See what do you guys think? In your situation, do you think you know what your boss wants from you? And are your goals and responsibility well aligned with your boss? Any comment?
Probably it's a good idea just call on the person's name. Otherwise, you're waiting for the comment. You're probably gonna wait forever.
Okay, so Jean, since you are the first to talk.
I'm working. Well, for me, because it's never be a problem for me because I have a very strong relationship with my boss. I do clinical trials. I know we need to recruit patient, finish protocols, and then finish all the steps, So I totally agree. We have the same goal. So I have no problem to work with my boss, and basically he trusts me. From the day one, I do everything myself because he's just too busy. So I have to just take responsibility. If I don't know anything, I ask him, and he give me advice. So that's pretty much his expectation. We just recruit patient, finish the protocol, no complaints from patients, So that's it.
Okay, good. How about Henry? You just started a new job. So do you think you know what your boss wants from you?
Yeah, I know what my boss wants me. Yeah, it is some are very certain, but some are have challenges. For example, the system I mentioned is very new, and nobody knows how to use that system yet. I'm the only one to touch that system in my team.
Okay. Yeah, because of time, yeah, I won't ask everyone. Okay, but yeah, as we go on, I hope everyone would try to speak up. So yeah, so I think it's important to deliver the result. We mentioned about that case, right, in the Arthur and his boss case. Yeah, so for a company, it's always important to be able to deliver the result, right? So if you know what your boss wants, it's important to be able to fulfill your responsibility well. And Colossians, right, chapter 3, verse 23 say, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters. So that's very important. And another thing that's very important is to respect your boss. Because sometimes we think we are smarter than our boss, right? We know more than our boss, which actually may be true because technically, right, on the technical side, you probably know in your own area, you probably know better than your boss because because you are more specialized, right, in your each area. So sometimes your boss may not know as much as you do in your area of responsibility, but still, since your boss is managing the whole project, it's more important to have a respect. Of course, not every boss is good. But if you keep on having problem with different bosses, then you need to watch out because it may be your problem, may not be your boss problem. There's one sister, that go through this a car lesson, and then I think almost every boss she has, she complain about. So we asked her to really think about, is it all because she's has such bad luck that she always come across bosses that she cannot respect, or is it her own problem? So this is something that we need to think about. And if possible, it's also good to not just have a business relationship. If you can build up some social relationship with your boss, I think it helps to make the job more fun also, okay, to make your work easier. And I have a few questions, but maybe we don't have time to go over that. But it's good for you to reflect. What does your boss do that can that help you or hurt your productivity? And what do you need from your boss that you're not getting? What specific things are needed to improve the overall quality of your working relationship with your boss? So these are things that I think we, when you have after this lesson, maybe you can think about it. And because a lot of times after we think about all this, we may have quite a lot of complaint, but it's important to understand this kind of situation. And it's important to understand what kind of situation your boss is in. Just like try to put yourself in his or her shoes, right? And even try to understand the overall company situation or your department situation. Just like the case study we had just now, right, between Arthur and his boss. Actually, his boss is also under pressure. So sometimes it's important to know that maybe your project, just like Henry mentioned, right, his project is very important, so very critical. So that means actually, or sometimes maybe the situation is not as critical. So these are things that we need to try to think in other people's shoes. And like what motivates your boss, what is nice and disnice, and very important, what is his or her preferred way of communication? In terms of communication styles and channel. Some people, they like to communicate by talking. Some, they like to read a report. Some, they like you to listen to them. I have one, I think you all heard about TSMC, right? The Taiwan Semiconductor manufacturing company. The founder of TSMC, right, Morris Chen, I have a friend who actually worked for him. And he said that Morris always just want you to give him the key points and the result first. He does, because he's very busy. He doesn't want you to go through all the detail. He just wants to have the few key points. And then if he is interested, then he may ask you the detail. So this is very important. Different people have their different style, different communication style. So it's important to understand, because otherwise you may want to talk to your boss. If he or she doesn't want to talk to you or don't have time to talk to you, then you are always in a disappointment. So do you know, your boss prefer communication style and the channel? This is something that I think we all need to think about. Yeah, so how to manage your boss? I mentioned, right, it's important that your responsibility and your goals align with your boss. So in that case, that means you need to communicate with him or her on a regular basis, hopefully, either weekly or monthly, right? And then when you communicate, you report your results, you make sure your goals are aligned, you get feedback, and then if there's something that needs support, you request support. And of course, deliver what you promise. And then and it's always happened that sometimes we have difficulties, right? Because, for example, if he or she want you to deliver this project within a certain amount of time, let's say a very critical project within 6 months, and if upfront you know that it's impossible, it's important that you communicate this with your boss, but you also propose, but just don't say that it's impossible. Also propose possible solution. In the Bible, we know about Daniel's case, right? Daniel doesn't want to eat the food and the drink provided by the king, but he proposed a solution. Also, he said, just let him, have the simple food, and So don't just go to a boss and say that, okay, the schedule is impossible. Also propose, maybe if given more resources, more help, it's still possible. Or if it's really impossible, then how to work out something that can still be reasonable, that can still meet. So So the worst case is that upfront you don't say anything, and by the middle or the end of the project, then you tell your boss, oh, at the beginning I already know this is impossible, because at that point there's no way the project can be done on time, right? So this would be terrible, right? But this happens quite a lot of time. A lot of people upfront they don't say anything, and then when it's almost half the midpoint or after, then they bring the bad news, and this is what a lot of times that cause problem. Okay. So if possible, to have it would be good to have a one-on-one time with your boss, no matter how short, 15 minutes or half an hour. The purpose is that you can align with your boss, connect with your boss, get the feedback. So Elaine Kong, in about 6 years ago, she gave a talk, and I list the YouTube here. I think it's still a very good talk, about how to make good use of the one-on-one time with the boss. To cover she mentioned about the 6 Ps, right? To deal with people, project, profit, problems, politics, and promotion. And like the first thing is to mention about the result that you have achieved since the last meeting. So let's say if you meet once a week or once a month, right? Spend 10 to 15 minutes to be very clear and show what kind of result you have achieved since the last meeting. And it's important to mention about the impact. For example, you say, okay, because of this achievement, you actually save the company, let's say, $1 million, or the project actually is on schedule or even ahead of schedule by a month. So these are the very clear and concise results. If we can show, then I think the boss may be interested to go into detail how you achieve this or how it's done. But otherwise, at least he or she will know what kind of things that you have done between this meeting and the meeting before. Okay, and if you need some support from your boss, you should mention that at that time. So make good use of the time and respect their time. And maybe once a year, you can also talk to your boss about your career aspiration, the career planning. Yeah. So I don't know how often you have a meeting with your boss. Do you have regular meeting with your boss? Like Henry, do you have regular meeting with your boss? Is Henry still there?
Hey, this is Jody.
Hi, Jody.
Yeah, I just joined the B Circle today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. It's very nice presentation. So speaking of this career planning, I do have a question.
Yeah.
Is this a good time to ask?
Yeah. Okay. See what kind of question you have.
Yes, of course, related to boss. So my situation is that, I work in the higher education. Okay, I work in the university. So I just moved to, okay, let's see. I was assigned a new boss. So I have a very good relationship with my new boss before, a personal relationship. And so my job is to run a executive training program. Every year, I actually designed and launched the training program 10 years ago. So that being said, it's actually my program that I brought this program to my new boss. So you see this kind of a relationship, right? And each year the program is generating about 1 million revenues. It's very decent sized program. The question is that right now there is another opportunity in a different university that I want to explore, but I do not think so. It's a time for me to ask for they ask me for reference. I am very hesitant of putting my boss, the new boss, as a reference because I don't think he will want to let me go. Because my position is not very easy to replace. To quickly find someone to lead this training program that I built for 10 years. So yes, that is the question. How I can talk with my new boss, or whether or not should I actually ask him for a reference for this new position.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it
Usually,
clear?
yeah, it's very clear. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
thank you.
we all face this situation when we want to look for new jobs, right?
Mhm.
Because usually I think the prospective employer, right, will understand actually, it's not good actually to ask for reference for your current boss, right?
Okay.
Because I think that's usually the situation, unless you already tell your current boss that you're going to leave no matter what, that you are looking for a new job already. Okay, because sometimes if you have a good enough relationship with your boss, maybe you can tell the boss. But if not, most cases, the prospective employer will understand not to ask reference from your current employer, right? Yeah. But David, I don't know whether you have any comment or suggestion.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. Yeah, it's particularly you have not made up your mind yet, right? Yeah, you are just exploring the opportunity.
Right.
So letting the current boss know about that is not wise. Particularly, if the boss has something to lose, then he, even if you have a good personal relationship with him or her, but because it's against his or her own interest, so
Right. Yes.
the outcome might not be good. Yeah, you are putting them in a difficult situation too. Yeah.
Okay. I see. Okay.
So
Thank you for the
So I think it's reasonable to tell this potential employer that that you cannot provide the reference from your current boss. Yeah, I think most people, reasonable people, will understand, right? Because that's putting you in some risk, right? Okay.
Okay.
So,
I
yeah.
see. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on. Okay. Feel free to ask questions because I think that's what we want from these account lessons is that because you can listen to many YouTube programs, right? In terms of many subjects, but I think for this mentorship program, we need to have to be able to have real time Q&A. And if actually even beyond the 2 hours, if we want to talk to any of the mentors, I think we are open. Actually, over years, we have provided career advice to people. Yeah. And then, so sometimes we may have a problem with our boss. Actually, it can happen, right? So if you have difficulty or you have conflict with your boss, first thing is you need to be calm, because the most important thing is not to say something that you regret, because sometimes in the heat of an argument or when you are get angry, you may lose control. And I think sometimes that can be very damaging. So and the Bible also teaches, right? Ephesians 4:29 say, do not let any unwholesome talk come up of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs. So try to control yourself, and don't say anything that you regret later. And the Romans mentioned that do not repay evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. And this is actually very important. And try to reflect and analyze when you have problem with your boss, right? Try to understand your boss position, and understand yourself also in the situation. Anything that you may need to change, because the problem may not always be the boss. It could be your problem, could be your boss problem, could be something related to other things, and also be observant. If you think your boss is not fair to you, right? Just observe, see how he or she deal with other people. Sometimes, for example, if the boss has a temper, and sometimes if he's mad at everyone, it's not just you, it's not personal. It's just sometimes, of course, it's not to say that he or she is right to have a temper, but sometimes we may think that he or she is just putting the pressure on me, but sometimes maybe everyone is suffering. So just observe how your boss deal with other people, and also how other people, maybe your peers, how they deal with your boss. Do they have problem with the boss also, or or is it because somehow between you and your boss there's some conflict, right? So this is very important to try to understand and reflect on the situation. Okay, before you communicate with your boss, and when you want to bring this up, if there's any conflict or difficulty, try to be calm and graceful, and be factual, and also listen to what your boss' point of view. Okay, so any questions or comments about this? About dealing with the boss?
Can I share my experience?
Yes, please.
Okay. I had an experience back to about 10 years ago and my company and going to lay off the people. And because I have been working in that company for 10 years and they don't want to pay big a package. So they send the boss and to talk to each person. So my boss talked to me, the first one, and he said, I don't like you. I want you to go. I gave you the lowest number. So I was shocked because only he talked to me in the room and I didn't get a chance to record it, so because this is against the law. But for that moment, I didn't understand because company, they don't want to pay big package for the people who work at there for many years. So I didn't understand it. So I argued with him and I say, point out which part I didn't qualify or you dislike me, and he couldn't find exactly the points, but he just said, I don't like you, So from that point, and I said, okay, so you want me go and give me 3 months. Okay. So after I came out, I don't understand it. I cry in the car, so there was the other boss saw I was crying in the car and she asked me what's going on. And I told her. So after that, back to home, there was a church, so there was a church retreat for that day. So I went to the church retreat. I talked to them about my situation. So everyone told me and says, let's pray for you. And God let you forgive him. This is you supposed to do. I said, why? But from that moment, I forgave him. So I announced in front of those people, and they told me, go back to work, announce to those people, forgive your boss. So on Monday, I back to work. I announced to those are busy people. I said, I forgive my boss, so they don't know what's going on. And they said, hurry up, and hurry up, there is a lot of work. So we start to work. Until Tuesday, the other departments start to send an email. They complain about our work. And they said, oh, the work is awful. We cannot finish our project because of your work. So my boss start to really nervous. And he said, sorry. And continually they send an email like, what should I do? What should I do? Who did the work on last Thursday? So they point out my name. And I say, she worked on last Thursday. So later on, they send an email that says, keep her to work on my project. Rest of people don't touch my project. So suddenly, the God turned over all of the results, And my boss, she doesn't understand it. And she said, okay, if the person continually to order our work. I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of you to work 4 sites and send it to her and label A, B, C, D. Don't tell her which one work by Lily, by me, you know. So we send it to them, and they choose the one number under my name. So I don't think it's how wonderful my work it is. It's the God at that moment, because when I have difficulty with my boss, the God, and say, you forgive him first. Now I will work for rest of them. So the God turned over everything. And finally, my boss came to me and said, I want to say sorry. I'm not supposed to say, I don't like you. I don't like your work. I please forgive me. This is my boss. And he told me later.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you, Lily, for sharing.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, David, you want to comment?
Oh, that's a amazing story. Yeah, yeah. It's a very good testimony. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's continue because I think we'll talk about later as we talk about the relationship with coworker. Yeah. Because at work, I think like Matthew, chapter 10, verse 16, right? That we need to be as rude as snakes, but as peaceful, as innocent as doves, right? So sometimes I think it's very good that Lily can forgive her boss. At the same time, when we are when we can forgive people, but we also need to know our right. So so we don't get stepped on all the time. So I'll talk about that as we move on. Okay, as we go on. Okay, so so next part is going to talk about relationship with our peers, with our coworker. So yeah, so there's another case study. Okay, so so in this case, it's also a real life case. Okay, also in the semiconductor field, because this is from my area. Okay, so so there are 2 engineers, Tom and Jack. They each are responsible for part of a big project. Yeah, because for semiconductor design, is sometimes a complicated chip takes a team of 100 people or even more. Okay, so each person would be responsible for part of this chip, because within the chip there may be there could be the computing part, there could be the memory part, there could be all these different and then communication part, right? So when the chip came back after the design is done, you make the chip, you come back and you test it, and when you test it, the chip has problem. So the team, of course, is very anxious. So they have team meeting every day, and then try to figure out what caused the problem, which part of the chip is causing the chip to have this malfunction. And so Jack, in one meeting, he said, just by my gut feeling, the problem is in Tom's part. Okay, but it's just his gut feeling. He didn't point out give any evidence. So Tom was very upset because Jack kind of accused him in front of the whole team, but without any key evidence. Okay, so but since Jack didn't have any evidence, the other people in the team didn't say anything because it's not clear. Why is it Tom's problem? So a week later, as Tom was working on this thing, he found out that the problem actually is in Jack's part. So so Tom say, "Hallelujah." This problem is he's actually Jack's problem. So so my question to all of you is what should Tom do? What are the considerations that he has to consider, right? Should Tom strike back, go to the whole team and announce his finding, or what should he do? Okay, so I open this question to everyone. Yeah. So what do you think? If you are Tom, what would you do? How about Robin? Would Robin any what will you do if you are Tom? Is it time to revenge?
Okay. Oh, by the way, I believe I need to change my background, and because either you record it. Okay, give me 1 minute. I will
Okay.
turn my video
Yeah.
first.
Okay.
For me, the first question I will ask, does Jack attack me on purpose or just joking, right? If Jack is attacking me and on purpose, and I believe there must be some relationship. I mean, for some reason, he doesn't like me. I need to figure out why. That's the first one. Either any misunderstanding or miscommunication, and I want to resolve the issue first. And I won't say anything in public, and I will drag him, private, maybe two-person, and ask him, are you just kidding? If we are good friends, right? I said, okay, dummy. I said, yeah, probably. I will let it go. However, if there is something wrong, he's taking me on purpose. Maybe there's layoff. I think, okay, I'm on his way for promotion, something like that. And I may tell everyone that the problem, where the problem is, but I won't point my finger to him. I say, okay, this is the code, this is the line, and this is the why, and this is where, why, and when, who commit, and why it caused the problem. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, basically two issues. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Robert. Okay. How about other people? Maybe one more person can chip in.
Can I talk?
Yes.
Yeah. So I had this kind of experience before, and because project joined by many people, and try to, number one, not point people in the public, and number two, and if you want so if you want to point out things, and point out the project, not point out the people, not point out people's names especially. So it's, or you can say, after someone with me, we continually and to solve the issues, and it's supposed to be things around blah blah blah. They won't be like, oh, who did this one is wrong, so this is the people, they cannot accept it in the public. So we could too, before we send it out, this kind of things, and talk to this person privately and in this person first. And so after we have the common understanding, then we can send out this email, just talk about how to solve this issue. It's not talk about this person.
Yeah, so I think both Robin and Lily are very wise. Okay, yeah, because and actually you also bring out some point about the how we deal with a situation. Yeah, first, so it's true. A lot of times you try not to pinpoint someone, point your finger at someone in a public meeting, because that can be yeah, very damaging, right, to the relationship. And if you are wrong, then also you lose your credibility among the whole group. Yeah. So anyway, in this case, let me tell you that it's actually quite an interesting case. Okay, because Tom actually his first thought is hallelujah. I'm going to go to the team meeting and have my revenge. Okay, and that was Friday afternoon, and that weekend he has to teach Sunday school at church. And then he was teaching about forgiving your enemy. Okay, so while he was preparing the lesson, on one hand he's teaching the high school students about I think it's Romans chapter 12, and then on one hand he's planning revenge, but he's right now he's teaching about this. So I think he changed his mind. So he decided, and also I think Robin pointed out a good point, right? He think this Jack actually is not really against him. It's not that Jack has any grudges against him. Jack is just kind of careless, right? In the meeting, he just say, "Oh, by my gut feeling, this that Jack and Tom they don't have conflict before, so he is willing to give Jack the benefit of doubt." So Monday when he went back to the company, he just go to tell Jack. He said, "Oh, look at this part of your design." Okay, he's kind of just hinted at Jack, and then Jack, when he looked into it, he found that it's his problem. So Jack actually told the team at the team meeting that his part is causing the whole chip to malfunction, and actually he didn't get fired because in the chip design sometimes this happens, right? So once the problem is found out that this problem, they solve the issue, they redo the chip, and then it's okay. And then Tom and Jack actually they became good friends. They work on later on they work on projects together. Okay, so this is a actual case example that you try to give people the benefit of doubt, try not to make enemies. Okay, if possible. So the Bible teaches us that if it is possible, Romans chapter 12, 18, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. So in this case, he gives people the benefit of the doubt. But at the same time, be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves. So I mentioned in the case, right, that why you have to be very careful about work relationship. And the Romans also teach us, right, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought. Rather think of yourself with sober judgment. Don't always think that I'm the smartest person in the team, right? I'm better than other people. Be in humility, value others above yourselves. So try to it's not that when you say value others above yourself, it's not that you think you are worse than other people, that you don't have self-confidence. It's not that. It's to look at other people has value, and then to not just think about your own value, but also to value other people. So in your relationship with coworkers, appreciate your coworkers, respect your coworkers. Do not undervalue them or overvalue yourself, and try to learn from them. So it's okay sometimes to praise. I think David Point mentioned about giving genuine praise, right? Last time. So to show genuine affirmation and appreciation. If you see that your coworker is doing something great, maybe you can send him an email or even pat him on the shoulder, right? Pat him on the back to just appreciate and affirm him. Okay, because everybody actually need other people's affirmation, because this is also kind of in our nature, right? It feels good that other people, especially if they are they truly understand. It's not a flattery, right? It's not that they try to flatter you, but then actually it's just that they really know you're doing something well and they appreciate you, because this actually helps in the relationship. To understand them and to be considerate and try to think in their shoes. So if your coworker usually is a gentle and okay person, but if one day he or she actually is kind of a little bit rude, just give them the benefit of doubt. Maybe they have a bad day at home that day, right? So try to be considerate and try to understand. Do not react immediately, if someone is rude to you. Carry out your responsibility. Keep your promise. If you do your part, right? So and then actually a lot of times in meetings, right? Sometimes for some of us, because English is not a native, it's not a mother tongue, right? Sometimes in meetings we may have a problem, so to communicate. But I think if you prepare ahead of time, you can you actually it's important that you can contribute well in the meeting too. Okay, and a lot of times conflict with coworkers sometimes can come out because the boundaries are not well defined. The job responsibility sometimes overlap, or there's some gap that is that is not covered. So it's important to know in that kind of situation to talk to your boss to make sure that the job responsibilities are well defined and then there's no ambiguity in terms of the gap area. So and if possible, try to be helpful to other people to show personal concern. And they say this is the personal power because if you not only just your work, right, but you're able to show some personal concern, I think actually that will be helpful to other people. Okay, to serve others. Any comment or questions about this?
Oh, John, I do have one question.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, I mean, for most of the time, your coworker, they are very friendly and they are smart and they know what they want. But sometimes you do meet some jerks. I mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
And what do you do, right? And God teach us love the enemy as love yourself. But sometimes, we are not perfect. I cannot just do it.
Yeah.
What's your recommendation?
Okay, so let me mention, one example I have encountered. Okay, I have when I started in the industry, I was quite naive. Okay, I was working for Intel at that time, and then one day my boss came to me and he said, "Oh, next time make sure you um, you know uh, ask me before you give your data to the other guy in a different department." Because what happened is that this guy from the other department, right? He took my result and he presented it, okay, without mentioning that the work is done by me and our department, okay. So my boss was quite mad, and I learned a lesson, right? That it's important to protect ourselves too, right? I think forgiving someone is important. It's true, right? Even if you're wrong by someone, but it's important to assert your rights too in the company, right? So I learned my lesson that I'm also very careful, right, to protect my right. So if there's some people who really do not do, let's say that is not doing right, right? Like taking credit for results, right? You need to assert your right too. So if it's from another department, you need to tell your boss to see how to resolve it, right? If it's your own department, you need to be careful, but you may want to also see how to resolve it. Maybe talk to this person. But sometimes you won't like everyone, but it's important to maintain the professional relationship, right? And so I don't know whether this answers your question, or if David has any comment.
Yeah, I strongly believe that try to make friends instead of making enemies, because enemies can be really difficult to manage. So do try everything to make friends. My last session was about making friends. So yeah, maybe you can learn to try to practice some of that. But I understand in some case there are some guys they are really bad. They are aggressive, political, right? So again, as John said, you have to be wise enough to protect yourself. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. The key point is try not to make enemy. Chinese has a saying, 明枪易躲，暗箭难防. So an enemy can attack you from all angles, right? So it's very difficult, if you make enemies. That's my two cents. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean actually because just now Lily mentioned about forgiving her boss, right? And sometimes even if someone wrong you, you can actually set boundaries, right? Yeah, but you don't have to do it in a nasty way, right? So I think this is important. Yeah, or you can even avoid, if possible, avoid dealing with people that you think are actually not very professional. Yeah, and yeah, and then try to build up some relationship with your coworker. To spend some time with them, not just the business relationship. If there's some common interest, like you can join some company functions. Sometimes you can volunteer at work, right? Like maybe organize a company picnic, organize some celebration event, right? Because these are the opportunities that you can work with other people in the company under maybe less stressful kind of situation. Be a team player, and actually also help you to build up your network at work. Because if you know other people in other department, because in this work situation, right? In this job situation, it's very dynamic, and sometimes we may need to look for jobs, and usually the best way to find job actually is through your own personal network. So don't just spend time working on your own project. When you are at work, right? Try to build up some personal network. Not only your immediate coworker, even other people in the company, other departments. Yeah. And because this is your best network actually that can help you in your career. Okay. And if there's a possible conflict, okay, try to seek win-win. There is a model, okay, called the Thomas Kuhlman resolution model. Okay, and let me show that in the next slide. What Thomas Kuhlman actually mentioned is that in resolving conflict, right, there are different ways. It really depends on your personality. Okay, so sometimes some people are more assertive, some people are more cooperative. Okay, and then if you very assertive, let's say for people who are very assertive, and they at the same time they are not very cooperative, then they tend to compete all the time. They look at the world as a zero-sum game, right? It's either I win, or I win, you lose. Okay, or the other way, right? You win, then I'll lose. Okay, so it's always a power struggle. So that's one way. And this happens quite a lot of times, right? In the work environment, it can be very competing. Or sometimes people, they are not very assertive, or they are not very cooperative. So if they face difficult conflict, right? They just try to withdraw, ignore the situation. Okay, just try to avoid as much as possible, and not to deal with the situation. Or if they are half cooperative, half assertive, right? Then they tend to compromise, and compromise actually is what we do all the time, right? Maybe each take half a step, right? Each take half a step backward. So at least it's kind of minimally acceptable to all, and keep the relationship not damaged. Okay. Or if you are not very assertive and you are very cooperative, right? Then you tend to accommodate other people. Okay. Whatever other people want, you just say, okay, in order to maintain the harmony, I'm just going to do what the other people want. This happens a lot too. But after a while, this cannot go on all the time, right? Because if this keep on going on, for example, actually in a marriage relationship, one day, it may blow up, right? And at work, it also can happen, right? And the best that can happen is to collaborate. That means you want to expand the range of possible options to achieve a win-win outcome. But this takes effort. This really takes effort to collaborate, to have win-win. And remember, there's one example that's mentioned that because for this, you need to understand more about what the other party really want. Okay. And so there's one simple example that say, okay, in a home, there's this sister and this brother, right? They both want to have the orange, but there's only one orange. Okay. And so if you compromise, you just cut the orange into half. So you each get half of an orange. Okay. Or maybe they have a fight. Whoever wins get the whole orange. Okay. But actually, when they collaborate, they found out that actually one person want to eat the orange. The other person actually want to have the orange, the peel, the skin, right? To do some art project. So in that case, actually, they both can satisfy what they want. So, but this takes more understanding, okay? And at work, to collaborate, actually takes more effort. But that's how you can win-win. Okay, so so that's how, if there's a conflict, try to see where we can get the win-win. Sometimes you may have to compromise, but I think a lot of times the worst is actually sometimes we try to just compete head on or to avoid. I think that is a problem. Okay, because this days actually is important to be able to cooperate and work as a team to achieve the overall goal. And this is the to bring peace and joy to a team is actually what the Bible always teaches us. It's not easy, okay? But these days, actually, company, a lot of times they value team players, especially team leaders, because a lot of projects today need teamwork, right? So whoever can make a team work harmoniously and effectively actually is a highly valued skill, okay? And but it's keep in mind this conflict resolution model. And if you have conflict with your coworker, try to be at peace. Just like David mentioned, right? Try not to make enemies. However, you do need to know your rights and protect yourself. Like Matthew 10:16. Okay, and I just share my experience. Like that people take credit of my work, and those are actually we need to be careful. We once that happens, right? You want to really make sure that you be careful about dealing with this person. Okay. But at the same time, try to give people the benefit of doubt until you fully understand this person. And to understand the conflict also, if there's a conflict, is it over substance or emotion? Like the example, the case study we have just now, I think Robin mentioned, right? Is it because this person has a grudge with me? Because sometimes if the person has a conflict with me and it's because of, if it's personal, then it's more difficult because it deals with emotion. It's not just over the right and wrong, the fact. And then it's more careful to deal with. And in those kind of situations, it's good to seek advice from people you can trust. But always try to be calm, to communicate carefully and with grace, and to try to seek common ground. Like James, the Bible, the book of James mentioned that too quick to hear, slow to anger. Okay, so any questions or comments at this point? Your relationship with coworkers, or any sharing about either difficulty with coworkers or some good experience that you have?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So my coworkers, they're all Americans, and usually they have happy hours, and I really want to be part of them, but it sounds like my it's not my style, you know. So every time they go to there, they're in the bar, they order the wine, they have, you know, then they start to talk. So I go there too and I talk to them, but I don't order the wine or the liquor, you know. So I feel like they talk the subject or topic is I cannot fit in. So what should I do?
Um, yeah, I think actually it's good that you go because you don't have to, because these days actually people would respect you even if you don't drink. I mean alcohol, right? If you just order some soft drink or even water, right? I think the is because I think if it's really a chance that you can get to know them better, but it's true sometimes maybe the topic they talk about you may not be that interested. Okay, so I think it's up to you because like in US, right, a lot of times people talk about sports, right? Football, like basketball. So if you really want to try to or actually if you can build some interest in those areas, that's possible too. Because actually some people they also even yeah Chinese, some people are very into football and football games and basketball games. So if you really want to try to have some uh, relationship with them, I think maybe you can look into some area of common interest. And sometimes actually people would talk about their kids or go on vacation. So I think it's really depend. You don't have to be you can pick some area that you also may have some interest. Then you can we can talk. So that would be my suggestion. But actually it really depends on the company too. I think some company are very performance driven, very depends on the merit, right? It's not really the kind of the old boys network, that kind of company. So like for my example, like for example, but in the next lesson I'll talk about that more in the career development. I'll talk about more. Sometimes it also depends on the company you pick, whether you need to really socially fit in. Some companies, especially more old style companies like that. But then you may want to see where those are the company that you want to be with. Yeah. Okay. I don't know other people. Where have you have any comment?
Yeah, I think for me, I don't really, I mean, I socialize with my coworker that much because sometimes it can be involved gasp. But the thing is, so since I'm in the United States, I have to deal with my patients, so they are all Americans, so I learned about football. So when I meet with my patients and I kind of talk, hey, Chicago Bears, it sucks, so whatever, so I got to learn some basic knowledge about football and some cultures too, So I think that's one way for us to be mingle with the American culture, I think to
Yeah.
be part of Main Street instead of always thinking I'm just Chinese. I feel like in Roman use a Roman swing and also to build the relationship and hopefully you can share the gospel with your coworkers. I think it's always try to learn from other people, be curious about other people. Like John said, you don't have to be lead the discussion. You can just ask questions and get to know them more, and then build a relationship.
Thank you.
Any other comment? I think this is a good question. Yeah, how we fit in, right? Is true, right? How we fit into. I think actually that, but I do think that you can pick some area that you are, that if you want to really be social with them, right? Some area that you may also develop some interest. Yeah.
So I do
So,
feel, and also I do feel younger generations and they work with our older generations together, and I can feel a little bit of discriminations from younger generation to the older one.
Oh, I think it depends because sometimes the older generation, the experience can help them a little bit. Not only just work. I think even the family situation, or social, yeah. So yeah, I think the important thing is to try to listen to people, and see what they to understand where they're at. Yeah, I think that's probably the start. Yeah. Okay, David, you have any comment?
I do have a question if time allows.
Yeah.
Yes. So it seems that all of you guys right now working at a in-person working setting. For me, I'm actually hybrid. So it's very hard to do like a little bit chit chat in this hybrid setting because I don't really often go to the office, right? And then that comes to the question how to grow your network and how to build the relationship, like with your coworkers. Do you have any ideas or thoughts on that?
Because during COVID, we all work from home, and then after COVID, then people, and then some companies they go hybrid, right? And she said actually now most companies found out that it's important to be able to work, to have the teamwork in person, because it's a lot more effective. Because without the personal working together, sometimes it's actually hard to have good teamwork. So Jody, I think even I don't know your exact situation, right? Even though you're hybrid, if possible, try to spend time in person too, and take opportunity to know your coworker face to face, because this is at least meet one time. Okay, so when I was working in semiconductor, I have a lot of suppliers in Asia, and I make it a point that I always go visit them at least once a quarter, because even though we can talk, on through the phone and all this, I found that if I already meet them face to face, have dinner with them, chit chat, then later on, I can talk to them over the phone because it's kind of like I know them already. But if you never meet a person face to face, and even have a meal together, or have some time, then you really don't. It's not the same. Yeah, that's what I would suggest.
Yes, I agree. That's why, every time when I go back to the office, I try to schedule like a meeting or a coffee or a dinner with them.
Yeah.
But still, like, I feel it's not really enough. And it's like, for example, you just said, okay, maybe there is a company like in a low pressure
lost you.
social event. Oh,
Jody.
am I still here?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, she's here. Why? We can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think we lost John.
Yeah,
It's not like
we lost John.
John is still.
Our teacher's gone. Okay, let's read a little bit. There you go.
I think we
She's
lost
back.
you.
Yeah.
Now you are back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of us will think that okay, it's more convenient to work at home, right? To be able, but actually, at least I think a lot of people find out that it's not effective. Even though it's more for the employee, it's more convenient, right? You don't have to commute. You can just but at least I think that's why most companies these days they go back to at least 3 days a week or even 5 days a week. Yeah, because they found out that it's actually important that the team have some time in person. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I have my company, they have a pet group. So the people who has a pet, they join in that group. They have cat, they have dog, and one of the HR, she live in Florida. So we're in California. We never got a chance to see her, but she always to post her dog and on the posters, and people are like, oh, I love it, Then they have the the back and forth, people start to talk. Yeah. And also people like her because she has a two dog, So we have topic to talk about this,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think these are all very good points. Yeah, don't try to, if possible, right, that go beyond the business relationship. Is because we are all human beings. Is human beings, we need the connection, right? We need to be connected, and don't think about that. If we talk about dogs, it's a waste of time. It's yeah, but of course, that's why I say if you can develop some genuine interest in some area, you don't have to do everything. You don't have to force yourself, right, to just to fit in. But I think you can try to see where there's some area that you really can have some common interest. Yeah. Okay. And then actually, in order to have good relationship with other people, it's first of all important to know yourself. Because and be aware of yourself. So that's why we talk about EQ, emotional intelligence, right? It's the self-awareness, self-management, and the relationship management skill. These are the key elements of the EQ. To have a good EQ is that you are self-aware, you can manage yourself, and then you can manage your relationship. Okay, and what is self-awareness? Is that means you understand your own emotions and how that affect your behavior and your thinking, and try to understand your strength and your weakness. For example, some people they have a hot temper, and if they know that this is their weakness, right, they will try to control it. They try to have self-control. Or if they know that sometimes they can get emotional, then actually in some situation they may want to step away. Okay, yeah, because I mentioned earlier, right? Even if you think your boss is not fair to you, don't try not to be blow up right away, because sometimes it causes damage, right? Yeah, so I think each person is better to reflect what are your hot buttons. That hot button means actually if there's something that people press on that, you may blow up or you may hurt you. Okay, so so besides self-awareness, it's a social awareness. That means you understand the emotions and thinking of others, like your boss or your team, your coworkers, and how that may affect their behavior. What are their hot buttons? For example, if someone is very sensitive to some area, you may not want to touch upon that. Okay. Um, um, yeah. And then, so in terms of managing the relationship, is to have able to have self-control, manage your own emotion, and learn how to handle other people's emotion. These are all things that are not easy, but I think these are things that we need to be aware of. And when you start to think about this, so are you all familiar with EQ and self-awareness? Any questions or comments? Because this is not only the work relationship, this also actually a lot of times affect family relationship. Um, yeah. So
Yeah, John, David, may I ask one question?
yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
since you guys have been, I mean, in the US for a very long time,
Mhm.
30 years, 40 years, right?
I've been in
And
US for 50 years.
yeah, 50 years, right? And when you first move to the US, I believe there will be culture shocks and in your professional life and in your personal life. And you will see a lot of shocks. I mean, sh shocks there. And how do you feed into the culture, right? For example, and I try to read I mean, Bible, definitely. This is the first thing. If you want to fit into the culture about, I mean, the Western or in the US, and you need to read the Bible because probably all the people, I mean, I cannot say all, probably 80% or 90% of the people, they are raised in Christian and they know the Bible and they know the story, such like you when you were in China, right? And you read the classic books. You don't need to talk about that. When you say something like a person name, they know what you're talking about, and they will recall what kind of scenario it means. And reading Bible is one. Do you have some other, what kind of other materials or what kind of other ways you have done try to fit into the American culture?
I think this is a very good question. But at the same time, I think we can try our best to fit into American culture because like the one thing I mentioned is actually in American culture there's sports. Okay, you know actually a lot of the terms that people talk about is actually related to sports, like football or baseball, and all this. So even if you're not interested in the sport, if you understand the game, you already know sometimes what people are talking about. Um, of course, a lot of the culture, American culture, is also affected by the Christianity. It's true. So some of the sayings is also coming from the Bible, right? Um, but and then yeah. So so of course, if you try to also read the news, right? Yeah, and you can also understand more about the what's happening around us, right? Yeah, but one thing is actually important not to overjoke with politics because politics is very divisive. So actually, if you talk about sports, I think you can support which team. Yeah, people you can root for some team, but you still will still be okay. But politics can be very divisive. So but at the same time, I think the next lesson I'll talk about is that I I will try to fit in so I can understand what people are thinking. But at the same time, I tend to go with companies that are more value the performance than fitting in as a old boys club. Because my own work experience, okay, when I work for HP, Hewlett Packard, I actually can find that I feel it's more difficult to move up. You have to become in the in group. But when I work in the semiconductor field, I think they more value um, that you're technically competent, you can get things done. Then actually I try to work with that kind of company. Yeah. So I'll talk more about, but I think it's good. It's still a very good, very important that you try to understand and fit in as much as possible. But I do think that it's something we have to try to do since we are living here. But at the same time, I think in terms of career, you also want to find a place that value more your contribution. Yeah. I don't, David, you have some comment?
Yeah, I always like the simple mottos as my guidelines. And for the past 50 years, I'm in the United States. I feel that the guideline which helped me the most is that I have the habit of putting myself in other people's shoes. So this is not just a saying, you have to have that habit. And that statement is also related to what John is showing on the screen right now. Love your neighbors as yourself, or do to others as you would have them do to you. Basically, this is saying the same thing as, in every situation, put yourself in other people's shoes. and then that help you to make friends and not making enemies. So I use this simple guide. Basically, it's a habit. It's not just a saying. You have to really practice so that it become part of you. In every situation, think about what if I were in their situation. Yeah. So I think I tend to try to give simple solutions so people can remember, and that's what I'm giving you now. Yeah. Okay.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on. Yeah. I think I mentioned added a few Bible teaching. Added a few Bible teaching here is that actually, yeah, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought. Rather think of yourself with sober judgment, and then and not to be judgmental. Why do you look at the speck of sanddust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your yeah. Yeah, these are also try not to be judgmental and try to not look at yourself too highly. Okay, yeah, and these are also something that is very important to help with a work relationship. Yeah, so try to know yourself, try to love yourself in order to be able to love others, and understand your own emotion and how it affects your behavior. Because sometimes we're jealous of other people, we feel insecure, or we have anger, or we have this need of affirmation, or we are judgmental, we have self-pity. So if you are aware that you have some of this issue, then you need to try to control and not let it affect your relationship with other people. And actually, it's important to have to have the love of God within us, because knowing that God loves us actually gives us confidence in life. Because if you're rejected by other people, you know that actually God loves you and cherishes you. Because at work, it's not unusual that we get rejected by other people, or other people don't really, or our boss sometimes may not value us, and we may actually feel bad, and then we may feel we lost self-confidence. But we need to. It's important that I think one of the major benefits of being a Christian is to have confidence in Christ. I always remember Romans chapter 8 mentioned that if God is for us, who can be against us? Who did not spare his own son, but give him up for all? Will he not also, along with him, graciously give us all things? And who shall separate us from the love of Christ? So because I remember in my career low point, sometimes I don't feel appreciated, or even by my boss, or even get rejected. I always remember I have this confidence in Christ, and this is not something that's this is something actually is very we all need to treasure, and it's actually very helpful, because if you feel love, then you're able to love other people. So I encourage all of us to do some self-reflection, to understand your emotions, to pray for comfort, and then to assess your job situation and your career goal and desire, and look for areas that you can improve, and to know yourself, to try to mitigate your career weaknesses, to avoid mistakes and disasters. So I think let's review what we have talked about today, a few key concepts, because I'm hoping that actually if you can bring a few concepts away with you, I think that then we already achieved the goal of this lesson. Okay, so first of all is to think in other people's shoes. Again, you never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view. So if we can put ourselves in other people's shoes, no matter it's with our boss or with our coworkers or with our subordinates, I think it helps a lot. Okay, and to be able to show appreciation, true appreciation to our coworker is also very important because this is sometimes in our culture, right? Actually, Robin mentioned about the how to fit in. I think American culture, actually, people are more at ease of giving praise to other people. For Chinese, a lot of times we are more reserved. So I think we need to show appreciation. Yeah, if people really did a good job, our coworkers or our subordinates, try to appreciate them, thank them, show some appreciation. I think it's very important and help with the relationship. And then and also be a peacemaker. As far as it depends on you, if it's possible, try not to make enemies. But at the same time, be wise as snakes and be harmless as doves. I think these are not easy, but these are things that I hope you can bring with you in terms of the how to do a how to have a good working relationship. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this lesson, right, having a good relationship at work make your work enjoyable and also actually help with your career success. So as an exercise for you to do at home, try to analyze your work relationships. List all the people that you count on to get your job done. I think you must have such a list. Okay. If you don't, I think you're in trouble because you may think that you can do everything by yourself. Yeah. And then prioritize this list in the order of importance and the impact each person affect your ability to deliver results. Yeah, you list down this the order importance, right? This view, and then rate the quality of your working relationship with these people, right? So if you have a list of people that you think are important to your work, and then you even prioritize them, then you figure out what is your relationship with them. Is it working? Is it non-working? Is it strained? Is it positive? Is it great? And what will you do if there's some that is not working but is important? What will you do? And then you try to analyze and then identify the root cause. Why is it not working? Is it because the goals are not well defined? Is it because at one time we have a conflict? Okay, and how to resolve it? Yeah, and then also pray to God. Do it out of a love and a serving attitude, not try to manipulate the things. Okay, so this is an exercise. At least think about one person that you would like to improve relationship, and how do you plan to do it, and what are the challenges you have to overcome, and how to apply the lessons learned from this class. Okay, so this is all I have. I think I try to go through all this material quickly. So yeah, maybe we can have a few minutes of questions or comments. Any comments or questions or experience that you want to share?
Yeah, I think you mentioned about the shoulder appreciation. I think it's very important. Like you said, Chinese culture, why we show the appreciation by our behavior. But the United States, you gotta speak it out. I remember when I did my work well, my manager actually gave me a thank you card. So I was like shocked. It's like, oh, it's my responsibility. But that's how the Americans show, they appreciate you thank you. So that's how I started to learn, always to thank you right away. And also, if they really, appreciate, you make it verbally instead of just, by behavior. So I think that really show cultural difference, like John said, it's have to culture sensitive. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Lily. No, thank you, Jean. Jean. Yeah. Any other comment? These are very good.
I have experience about I try to have companies or position available. I send it out to the people and to the group. I always have people like, oh, I would like to try. So I refer them to the company. And those people, they became to my friends.
Oh, yeah, that's very good.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they really got this job, I also can get a referral fee, So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Actually, company, they appreciate that because a lot of times when you hire someone, it's very difficult to know the person just by interview. So if there's someone that someone internal that refer, it's actually more appreciated because it's we can trust if it's within the company, someone refer for someone from outside, right? It's more trustworthy. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
So if no other comments, I have some housekeeping to announce, and then I'm gonna stop the recording. So
Okay.
stop the recording.